So on the agenda today, we have a few Pathfinder community announcements. A lot has been cooking up in the community these past months, and we cannot wait to share that with you. Then we will have Arjun demonstrate vision models in document automation. And then we'll also have our community captain Inacio present a use case. And then we'll have a quick Q&A session with our product manager Mudit to just answer any questions that you might have about version models and document automation. So let's just jump into it. So we haven't been doing these virtual dev meetups these past months. Yes, that's correct, but that's also because we've been doing a lot more in-person meetups. So we had a few in Bangalore, and we also had one that was organized most recently in Hyderabad. And this was led by our community captain, Vinay. So shout out and many thanks to Vinay for leading this this Pathfinder chapter meetup in Hyderabad. And also we had a virtual meetup led by and co-hosted by our community captain, Girish. So shout out to Girish as well for hosting that. And this dev meetup is, we will also have Inacio present a use case on document automation. So let's hear it for Inacio. We can already see some applause emojis in the chat. Keep those applause emojis coming. Inacio is a senior software developer leading innovation and pre-sales at Tangentia. So let's hear it for Inacio. Yay!
Thanks, Shreya. That's a really nice introduction. And I'm excited for today's Pathfinder Developer Meetup. It's really great to be here and connect and network with other developers as well and hear from them.
Cannot wait for your use case presentation, Inacio. No pressure.
Yeah.
We also have Mudit, our Director of Product Management for Document Automation with us. And we also have Arjun, the Director of Community Learning for Automation Anywhere University as well. All right. Well, quite a lineup, I must say. Let's get into it. I know, if you're attending this meetup, you're a winner already to us. But you can also be a winner to everybody else because you might, if you attend the dev meetup till the very end, because you might get a chance to win one of our 3 swag packs. So all you have to do is attend this meetup till the very end, and you will be entered into a lucky draw. For the official giveaway rules, you can scan this QR or visit this link, which will be up in the chat in some time. And yeah, if you win, you will be notified via an email. So make sure that you stick till the very end, and you might be one of our lucky winners. A few rules just going over these rules. This webinar is going to be recorded, and the recording will be shared with all of the registrants of this meetup after the event is over. All attendee lines will be muted, but if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A tab on your Zoom screens. If you have any issues with your audio or video, please feel free to let us know in the chat so that we're aware and can solve this immediately. With that, I think I'm going to hand this over to Arjun.
Okay, thank you, Shreya. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session. I'm excited to share some interesting updates we have on document automation. But before that, just want to share about the safe harbor. Like most of the features we are going to show you are like live. However, there are also some future looking features that are not right now available. And because we want to give you the best and the latest information, we are showing this to you. But if you're making any purchase decision, please make sure you go through all the documentation and before signing up any of these contracts, and do not rely just on the information shown here, because some of the future looking features may or may not become live right away in the next couple of months. So that's why we just wanted to add the safe harbor before we kind of show you the interesting features. Okay, thank you. Okay, let me share my screen. Please confirm if my screen is visible.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, great. So before I explain about vision-powered generative AI data extraction in document automation, I just want to know how many of you have worked on document automation. Can you just type it in the chat window that if you have worked on document automation, you can just type in DA. If not, you can say no. Okay, interesting. A couple of you have worked on it and some of you have not. How many of you have tried out our Gen AI features in Document AI? If you have used, you can just say AI. Okay, that's interesting. There are a couple of folks who have used the AI features, but there are also some of them who had worked on our previous version IQBot, but not on the DA. Great. So let me just give you a quick background on this document automation. So first we had, swap this. Okay. So first we had document automation, which is our intelligent document processing engine that will help you process any of the documents you have in your enterprise. And then came the generative AI powered data extraction. What that meant is like, along with what we were able to extract just using our engine, we were also able to embed generative AI models, which could help you extract much more information and more complex and unstructured information. And now, icing on the cake is how you can use the vision powered models within your document automation. So that's what we are going to see. And let's take a quick look at what are the benefits you get when you kind of try to use this vision powered models, because now these models can actually see your document. It is just not extracting the document based on a layout, but instead it can even see your document and then kind of get the document, the data out of it. So there are like a lot of different benefits, but we have outlined a few key ones, like better extraction of keyless values, because not every value will have a key value pair based on which you can extract a piece of information. So that's where when there is like unstructured information or even like handwritten information, or data which wraps around multiple lines, or if it does not have a label at all, it is still possible to extract any kind of these kind of keyless values. And then one more feature is, now the model can also detect if there is a signature. For now, it cannot read what is inside the signature itself, because as you know how complex the signatures can be and just the different ways of people how they sign it. But at least you can check how a signature, if a signature is present or not. So next, going on to the next slide, table extraction. This is where this helps a lot, because there can be like complex tables, the tables where you don't have like proper rows or information in multiple rows and columns, which is very hard to kind of extract the data. But now we have table property extraction. That means we define saying that this is a table and we want this vision model to extract this information based on the table property which we are defining. I'm going to show you what this property means, what are tags, and then we will get into the live demo. This is where the end of table and primary columns are also very important, because that specifically defines where is that end of that table. So you exactly know where the extraction should stop as well. And also, even if the information is in like handwritten tables, and if it has a format which is like unusual, it can still work based on the vision-based models. How is this done behind the scenes? We use the latest AI engines. We use GPT-4o, we use Anthropic Haiku, which accepts images. And you can also bring your own models as well. So the options are like, if you can bring in anything from Azure, AWS, Google, as well as Haiku Sonic. And there are some couple of international options where vision and non-vision models are supported. So that's where GPT-4v and GPT 3.5, which is like no vision, can also be used. So How do you differentiate when you want to use just regular generative AI text-based models, or how do you use the vision models? So this is how you can define. We have something called prompt tags. So this essentially helps the learning instance know that you are expecting it to use the vision-based models for extracting the information. We use 3 tags here. The first one is Gen AI Vision. So what this does is this extracts the information using the vision model. And this is great for like any kind of linked tables, pages which are spanning across multiple tables or nested tables, or even if there are merged cells. And the second one is linking field. This is important when you have multiple fields, but it has very similar information, but there is only one field which is kind of common among different tables. I'm going to show you with examples as well. I'm just setting the context first, and then we will get into the demos. And then the table identifier. This helps you differentiate between multiple tables which has very similar information. All you have to do is like you have to identify what that you want to use table identifier, and then you also pass the table name from which you want to extract the information. So this is some quick info about the vision models. Before I go into the demo, I'll just quickly take a look at if there are any questions.
Yes, there's a question from Javier who says, will the tags be integrated into the DA UI in a future update?
Very good question. And we already have this in place. I'll show you how this is integrated in the UI. So I've logged into my control room, and then I'm in the home screen. Now under AI, I have this document automation section. I go here. This will list all the learning instances I have created. And then let's look at 3 demos. The first one is the field extraction. So let me show you what we are going to extract. Let's take a look at this document now. So as you can see, this document is like a product recall document. And there are like a lot of handwritten information. And also let me just show you. If you notice here, we have the time field, and then it says 12:10 a.m. and p.m. So p.m. is selected. So when I ask it to extract information along, I mean the time and the a.m. or p.m., it can also do that by the prompt we define. So this is one important field. We will take a look at this and see here. There's a cigarette brand name here, and I don't think it's very legible, but we will see how this information is extracted. And then a couple of more interesting fields is like, it says like, does the package say which like flavor or whatever it is for that cigarette pack? There are like 4 options, and we notice that only the last option is selected. That is like the non-menthol is the option which is selected. And then there are a couple of more pieces of information. So we'll pass this image and let's see how this works. But before I pass the information, let me show you how the learning instance itself is created. In the interest of the time, I've already created the learning instances. I'll show you what I have defined for each of these fields, and then we will go over the processing. So now the first field, as I mentioned earlier, I want to get the time of recall report because this is a product recall report and there is a time specifically mentioned here. I want to get this time. So this is what you see here, the time of recall, and then the street address. Street address is here. This is what it is. And then the package information. So this is where I am saying, like, I want to extract this piece of information where it says, does the package say? And then the report description. I want to extract the document name. So the document name here, it is Phillips Morris product recall. Let me show you the prompts and how these are defined. So you can see here, I've written it like the time of recall report, and I want to extract the time of document. And this is where the magic happens. Like there is a field which says search query for generative AI model. I've written at what time was the document created, along with the time select AM or PM based on whichever value is circled. And to Javier's question here, this is where you see that Gen AI Vision is selected as a prompt tag. So you don't earlier, like in the previous release, you had to add it here into this query itself. But now you can actually just select this option in the dropdown. You can see this, like Gen AI Vision is an option for a form field. On the top left, you can see there are top form fields and table fields. And because this is just a form field, I can show you that you can use this prompt tag field. Similarly, let's take a look at the other fields which we have here as well. So the street address, I'm just saying like, what is the street address for where the goods were purchased? And then I have this Gen AI Vision tag. Similarly, package information. So I have exactly what it says on the document. What does the package say? And I'm also giving it specific instructions on how I want the response to be written back. I'm saying like fill out the following response sheet. And here I'm mentioning all the 4 options which it has, like lights, ultralights, menthol, and non-menthol. Please return yes or no for the values and only return a valid JSON. That means when I get the response, I want this entire information to be sent back in just a JSON and in the exact format I have defined here. That is like lights, all the 4 options I've given. And the last option is like report description, where I'm saying I want to get the document name. So I'm just saying what is the document name, and I'm adding this prompt tag called Gen AI Vision. Any questions so far?
There
Okay, sure.
are
I think there's a question regarding the license, which our Mudit will help answer in the chat window. Okay, so now also just combining with one more new addition to the document automation is called test mode. You can see here test mode. So what this does is like it helps you process the document when you are creating the learning instance itself. Earlier, you just had to first create the learning instance and then process the document. But now this test mode enables you to test the documents while you are creating the instance itself. And then you can continuously keep changing whatever parameters you want to do, and then you can see the values. And where can you see different versions? See here, if you notice, I've created a learning instance and I've made so many changes, and it'll show me what are the different versions and I have, and I can choose which version I want to go live with this learning instance. And it will also help me compare between multiple models, I mean the multiple versions of my learning instance, to see how I mean which one I'm comfortable with. For now, just going to process one document, which is the one which I showed you. I'll just pass this document which you just have seen here. I'll select this one and I'll click on open, and I'll say process document. We'll give it a few seconds for it to process, and then we should be able to see the status here. So now this document will be processed, and because we have selected Gen AI vision model, it's going to use the vision model to extract the information, and let's see how the data comes back and we can review them. There's one question, is this a new learning instance or has it been trained with existing data? So as you can, I mean, it's the same process. Right now, you don't have to really train any kind of documents the way you used to do it in IQBot. So when you create the learning instance, it is already backed by intelligent models which are already trained on millions of documents. So that's the advantage you get by using the document automation. You don't have to kind of train it specifically on a list of documents and then you see the results. Instead, the results are instant and you can see the results, how it works. Okay, let's review the results which has come up. Time of document, the date it was able to pick it up correctly, while AM, it has picked this up incorrectly. So we can just see how we can kind of do this. We can play around with the prompts. Sometimes that's where you may need to tweak your prompts, and then you can try out different results. So that's how the result is. And then the street address. So the street address is here, 308 North Fox, and the entire address. It is picked up here. We can again define, if we don't want city, state, and zip, you can always say, just pick up the data from the street address and ignore the cities, state, and zip. And the package information is where this gets interesting. As you can see, the data is actually back in a JSON format, and you can also see which checkbox is selected. So there is only one option, which is non-menthol, which is selected. And that's why you will see non-menthol is listed as yes, while all the other three options are no. And then the last one is the document name, the Phillips Morris product recall. And this is the document name, which we have seen. So this actually gives you specific information about how do you use the extraction using the vision models. Let's take a look at a couple of more examples.
Arjun, I think there's a question on the chat about what type of learning instance it is. Can we show that settings, etc.?
Sure, yes. Let me just show you this complex form field and learning instance configuration. Here you can see that I've used a user-defined document type, because this was a product recall, which is not like a standard document. So that's why we have used the user-defined. However, if you have a standard type of document, you can also use that. Mudit, do you want to add anything to this?
No, I think I got it.
Okay, great. Let me just take a quick look at some of the other questions.
There's another question on why are we only taking JSON? Why don't we take any other language? Is there any special sequence?
Not really. See, JSON information is easier to parse in the downstream steps, right? Like whenever you get any information, you just don't want it in plain text, because plain text you will have to again use like string manipulation and all that you will have to do while doing any kind of next step of steps in your entire process. So that's where JSON is one of the option you have. However, you can always define how you want the format to be, and it will be the LLMs will be capable enough to respond to you in similar fashion, whatever you are requested for. Okay.
Another question says, is it normal that the request is pending even though there are no fields to validate?
Okay. That is because we are in the test mode. All we are trying to do is like we are trying to just test the learning instance itself. So that's why it is showing you what are the values it is able to extract. Whereas if I just go out of this screen and then I try to process from the learning instance screen itself, which I'll show you for the next demo, there it will not come up to the validation screen if there is nothing to show it for you. It's because this is the advantage of the test mode, where you will get to see every information and compare different values before you kind of decide which learning instance version you want to use. Okay. Got it. So let's go ahead. So let me take you one more example, show you the document, what I want to process first. Now we have looked at the form fields now, right? Like which is not in a table. But now let's look at something which has a table, and then let's see how this gets processed. I'll show you how this document looks like. So this is a document which is which is used in the insurance industry. And what's interesting or what's complex in this document is there are two tables. There is one table here, the table 3, which says all inclusive inpatient case rates for HMO in IPA. And there is also table 4, which is like, again, all inclusive inpatient case rates for HMO out of IPA, POS, and PPO. You can notice that all the columns are actually same. There is no difference in any of the columns we have. The only difference is the table name and the table title here. So that's where we will be using this linking field information, so that we are saying whether we want to extract the information from all the tables while linking it to specific table, or if we just want to extract information from a specific table. Let's look at both the examples. Okay, I go here and then I use this linking field. So I have created this learning instance again. I can just show you what I have done it. I've used the unstructured document here, and then I'm using the table fields. And here you will notice I'm not using the test mode. So that's why you will see the difference of how I will process now and how I used to process before. So the pieces of information we are going to look at is category. And again, you can see what is the category is added here. So in the document, comparing it here, this is the document. And then we will look at SOI and description. So we have description here. And I've added the query. What is the description? If there are multiple rates for a description, then create new row for each rate. The SOI similarly, like, because you will notice that there are like multiple rows of information for each description. So that's why we're making it a little more obvious to ensure we get the best results. And also we want to extract information only from the column which says 2020. So here, going back, 2020 is the last column here. And the last one is table ID. So this is the connecting field here. That's why you will notice in the search query, I'm saying what is the table ID? It is about the table. And this is the table ID, like I'm referring to table 3 and table 4 here. And you will also notice I've added this prompt tag called linking field only for this particular field, for the only reason that this is the field for which we want to establish the connection between multiple tables. And in this case, we have table 3 and table 4. Let me just see. Okay, so now I'm going to go back here and linking field. If I'm not using the test mode, that's when I'll come here and process this. I'll select this table, the browse option, linking field table. I select this one, and then I define a output value where it is coming back. It's going to click on process. We'll give it a few seconds for it to process, and then we should see the information come back in this particular folder. I've defined it as C temp, and if it is successful, it'll come to this success folder. If it is not, it'll go to the failed folder. But let's see how the results goes.
Meanwhile, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A tab.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, we'll give it a couple of more seconds for it to extract the information, and then we should be able to see the information coming back. We can also go back to this, the linking field, click on view status, and look at this field as well. So this gives us the information is passing. It's very similar to what you have here. You can either just watch this kind of screen, or now we can notice that the extraction is completed, and now we will take it to the download step. So this should just take 1 or 2 more seconds, and let's go back here. And we notice now we have got this information. Let's open this table. Okay, now if I just expand this, you can notice that there is category, there is description, there is SOI. SOI, you will notice that this information is like 1-4, but this 1-4 is shown as 4th January by the Excel, but it is not extracted as 4th January. I'll also open up that in just a notepad and show you how that works. And then we have this 2020 information and also the table ID. You will notice that this table ID was not there as part of the document itself for all the fields, but it is just that it's a linking field. That's why it gets added as a special, a new column, and the information is all added here from table 3 here. You will notice that table 3, the last piece of information is 19,000, and that's correct, 19,000. And then couple of more fields to check is like when we have multiple pieces. So here you will see for the cardiac row, there are two rows like 67,000 and 297,000. And you will see that it is 69,000 and 297,000. So this is where you will notice, like, even though the information is not like exactly the each row to row connection, but it is still able to extract. Similarly for category also, this is like some of them are like coupled up for few codes here, but here you will notice that it is all able to pick up the specific information. I'll also just show you how this 1.4 is extracted just for your confirmation. If I just want to open this with Notepad, Handwritten Notepad, and you will see this here. This is like 131434. So this information is extracted correctly, just that the Excel showcases this as the date format. Okay. Any questions on this? So this is how you're able to extract information from multiple tables which look very similar, and but there is like a connecting field which is helping you understand, helping the model understand which table it is extracting from. Okay, let's check one more example. So this was about the linking field. Now, for the same table, let's say I want to extract information only for the table 3. So for the table 3, I'm going to define this as a table identifier so that it picks up the information only for this specific table. I'll go back to my learning instance. And then I have this table identifier 1. There's nothing to be extracted in form fields. And I'll also show you how this learning instance was created. I've just used the unstructured document type. And then in the table fields, I've added the category. What is the category here? What is the description, SOI, and 2020. Also, you will notice there are no prompt tags selected at the field level because I don't want to say anything with respect to each fields. However, we want to identify the table identifier. So that is where, if you notice here, there is a button called Edit Table. When I click on this, here I am defining that I want to use Gen AI Vision model and also the table identifier prompt tag. And here I also define what is the table name from which I want the information. As I have showed here, this is table 3, all inclusive patient case rates. This is what I've added it here. Table 3, all inclusive inpatient case rates. So now when I use this learning instance to process the information, I'm going to get information only from the table 3, and table 4 will be ignored even though the columns are very similar. So again, for here, I've not used the test mode. So that's why I'm going to process it from here. But if you just add the test mode, you'll be able to test it in the way I've showed initially. So let's pass this document again. And I'll add it to C temp folder. And I click on process documents. We will give it a few seconds for it to run. While this is processing, some of you had some questions about the test mode, which I would like to showcase here, like the complex form field, which we were using. So this is where we have the test mode enabled, and because of which we can process the documents here directly. And then when I click on view status, it'll show me the same page which I used to get it earlier. So let's go back here. And I will also, once this processing is done, I'll show you one more process, processing one more document, and I just want to showcase how do you switch between multiple versions of this learning instance and test them as well. Okay, couple of questions which our Mudit is helping us answer. Thank you, Mudit, for answering almost all the questions here. We'll give it a couple of more seconds. I can also go back in the meanwhile to just, okay, this is extraction is done. Let's give it 1 second for it to download, and we should be able to see this here. Okay, got this information now. Let's see how this looks like. And as you can notice, we only have category, description, SOI, and 2020. We don't have the table field because here we are not expecting data from multiple tables. Instead, we are only expecting data from one table. So that's why we will see that no table ID is added here. And this was achieved through the table level prompt. Okay, so just showing you this again. In the table fields, you can click on edit table, and here you can write the prompt tag GenAI Vision and table identifier. When you add this table identifier, that's when this field will show up, and then you are expected to add the table name from which you want the data to be extracted. Okay, let's go back, and I just want to show you one more piece of information here. As I was mentioning earlier, let's process this piece of information, this document again. I'll go back here, complex form field, and then process. View status, let's go here. Okay, we'll let it pass through. We'll give it a few more seconds for it to complete the processing, and then
I think,
we can
Arjun,
see
while
that.
this is loading, couple of questions I think we can answer.
Sure.
So we do support multi-language here. I think the supported metrics of multi-language, you can find it in the docs page. And yeah, I mean, there are, I think, for the most part, we have extremely good coverage with in terms of the languages, even when using GenAI or GenAI version. So yeah, I think it may not be possible for Arjun to show it right now, but I think you can definitely refer to our documentation. And one more request, I think, just for the team, like please type your questions on Q&A. I see still people typing it on the chat. We have. Thank you.
Okay, while this is processed, this is where I want to show you. Here, you're able to see this information on the left side. The document is there and the extraction result is available here. And you will notice in this drop down, you can actually go back to any of the previous versions. And it actually shows you how would it work if you had used the previous version. And it also shows the version history here. What have you changed in each of the version? It'll show you I have changed a form field, the search query, and then what was the previous value, what is the current value. So any values I have changed, it'll give you like a version history of, it's kind of like a log for you to understand what values you have changed. And you can also see this tag called current. So this shows you that this is the version being used. However, if you want to make a previous version as the current version, you can do that. If you notice here, this says total versions as 7, and the 7th version is the current. When I click on this version 6th as restore, then this will become like a newer version, and you will notice that it will become a version 8. Because when you're testing something and then you feel like the previous version was better, in that case, we're going to create a previous version of, like a new version of the copy which we have used in the previous settings. And essentially, it will become the new version for you. And then you can decide whichever value whichever version you want to take it to production. So that's the advantage you have with the test mode, where you can test multiple values, multiple models, multiple prompts to see which is the best combination you are able to get. And then accordingly, you can decide that this is the version I want to go live with. Okay, I think this is the last demo. I'll just want to showcase here on the how it shows the version 8 here, because we restored a previous value. So now you can see that version 8 is created and you are able to get the differences. So this is how you can test it. And also, if you want to compare the results between multiple versions, on the right side, click on these two dots and click on compare versions. So it'll show you what exactly was the information between each of these fields, so that you exactly know which version, and you can change between any of these versions and then try to test the values. And say, for example, in one of the version, you had not tested it. So you can always go back to this version, test it, and then you will be able to see the results, like compare two versions of the results to identify which is the best one you are getting. Okay, I hope this was useful for you. Please do try it out in your control room. If you have any questions or need access, you can reach out to your account managers or the partner enablement managers in case if you don't have access to some of these features. But otherwise, feel free to post any questions in the comment section and we will continue from there. Okay, I think we can pass it on to Inacio for his demo.
Yes, thank you, Arjun. And it's really exciting to see such an engaging community right now. I was seeing the comments and the questions are really great. It's really nice to see everyone having working experience with DA and the latest features. Let me share my screen and we'll jump straight to the demo. So Arjun covered the features of DA. I'll put forward a use case for DA. Like right now, I'll be like covering up employee expense claims, where employees request for a claim to their organization, and the HRs either approve and reject it based on the claim request. The use case is interesting because we know that when we go for a claim or a claim request, we have certain documents like we give invoices like food bills, the fuel bills, or maybe travel expenses. We give invoices that sometimes are readable, sometimes that's not readable. And the problem statements is basically because manual checks take a lot of time. We also notice that sometimes there are many expense claims and the HRs take time to review each one of them and maybe match the data and go ahead and approving it or rejecting it. And besides that, the fourth point also that's lack of centralized approval systems. That's also one of the major problems as well, where we kind of have a defined portal where we submit claim requests, but sometimes it so happens that it is picked up from mails and the HRs open the attachments, get the details sorted, and have a check through and through. So this is the problem statement. Oh, and do feel free to post use cases that you all feel would be a great one using DA, because right now Arjun showcased really amazing features with DA, and you all will have sparkling ideas coming up about what we can use with DA and how we can go ahead with DA. Sure. So going ahead, the use case overview, that like the way I said, the employees can submit their expense claim requests, that is travel, the food, the credit card bills, all of it. And then the DA along with vision models scans all details, all data from an invoice, irrespective of the format, irrespective of the language, the type, even handwritten bills. So I will be covering that aspect as well in this demo. It extracts all the important details and it verifies it as well. So expense claims be in such a way where the employee enters the data and the HR checks it with the data entered and the data extracted. DA, this demo along with DA fulfills both of it. Just go ahead. So how it is done is basically the employee fills the form, uploads the invoice, the DA extracts the key data points, that is the date, the total amount, the comments. And if there's a mismatch, like say suppose there's a mismatch in a total amount, or there's a mismatch in the type of the bill that's submitted, the DA kind of flags it out and it submits to the HR with the added field, that status, that says that it is either a match or it is a mismatch. And the HR can finally approve and reject it based on the extracted details with the submitted details. That's the form that's filled by the employee. And finally, I have added one such feature where it also reports the entire workflow via mail to the HR or the employee. So let's dive into the demo straight away. This is a flow of how the demo is going to work, and I'm going to play the demo. Shreya, can you just give me a confirmation if the demo part is visible?
Yep, the demo part is visible.
Yep. So let me just play it. I'm going to explain this side by side of what is happening. First, I start off with a simple food bill. That's a printed bill, unstructured, and it is clear. So it is a very easy extraction for the DA. The learning instance was a simple one with 3 fields. That was date, the total amount, and I guess it was name. Yeah, so it was backed with the tags, that is the @GenAI tag. This is the current invoice that's being extracted and processed at the moment. And the extractions under the table, I think that's just went too fast. Yeah, so finally the mail that comes up with all the details approved and rejected. That is a simple use case. Coming up with the next one was a handwritten bill. So I've given options as well, like what kind of a bill is it, and the employee needs to fill it according to that, the claim amount and the remarks. Once submitted, I will show the invoice that's there. So this was the handwritten bill that is being passed to the DA. And you will notice that it is a pretty okay level handwriting with the balance total, the number 2 having a comma after it, making it look like 4. And this invoice will be able to see how it actually works. Like there's submitted details on the form at the start, and then there are extracted details like the extracted receipt number, the extracted date, the extracted amount. And once it is matched, the status appears to be as matched, and then the HR, based on the status, can approve it or reject it. So just to check the capabilities of vision models, I just passed a bill from 1985 with smudged ink, bad handwriting quality, and the paper was brown basically. It was that old. So the details are being filled, and so this one will be an interesting part because we know that India in 1985 had paise as a currency as well. Right now we don't deal with paise, but this was the time when we had rupees and paise. And you can see that under the amount, it is a free header, and after that, in the amount column, it is split into rupees and paise. And the user has entered the numbers in rupees and paise as 0, 0, 0, and then 30. And then finally, it comes to a grand total where it is 26 rupees and 30 paise. So this was post extraction with the tag at GenAI Vision used. It could clearly extract that 26 rupees and 30 paise. The dot was clearly extracted, and this led to a match scenario. And here's the one. Yeah, so that ends with the demo. So what can be the benefits of this? One thing is the speed up of expense reporting. Now, DA is backed by RE. RE is one such tool that can be embedded in other websites and CRMs and maybe your most accessed website. So what happens is when DA is easily accessible, employees can basically just open the tab, upload their invoices, and get the claims processed. The HRs don't have to basically go through and fro, match the data, check the data. The DA will do everything for them, including extraction of data, checking the data if it matches with the submitted data. It reduces errors and a better employee experience. And finally, it creates a reliable audit trail. Now, future scope, that's there. Where is this going? Like we had a question in the chat that came up. Is it possible for different languages? Yes. There's ERP integration, like the way I said, embedding RE to your mostly used website or a web page or maybe a CRM. It can be integrated with finance or HR dashboards. And say, suppose now we have claims that have just been filed without the employee spending that amount, or maybe it's a fake invoice. There is Gen AI to like have a fraud detection. Besides that, the way I said, the website can be embedded with RE, so mobile submissions, and finally the e-signature compliance. So that's the demo. Any questions? I'll stop presenting. Yes.
Don't have a question, but I'm very excited to see this demo. First of all, this is a really cool application of document automation, and also to see, how it shapes up. Like there's so many possibilities, as you said. Particularly for
Hmm.
me, I think fraud detection is something that's very, very cool. So it would be very cool to see how that shapes up as well. So thanks for presenting this
Yes.
amazing demo, Nazio.
Yes. Thanks, Shreya. And also, DA is backed by RPA as well. So you can have way more features editing as well. Right now, DA has one of the best features like the vision models, the tags for prompts and all. But we can enhance it way further with the download bot and the extraction bot, the processes. We are having a next gen process composer coming up. We can have amazing possibilities to enhance that product, the DA product, with more of your use cases, like a personalized thing, like sort of. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
it.
there's a question for you by Harsh. It says, Hi
Hmm.
Nasio, what did you use in the process composer for approval and rejection? Is that an RE form or something else?
So what I did was it was a plain simple DA, and I just created the document automation learning instance first, and then I started working ahead on it. Like once we open the process in the workspaces, document workspaces, we have the download bot, the upload bot, and the forms. So the first form that you have seen is the actual DA form. I just added few more fields to it, and like a rule based, like we have form rules and field rules. So those were the things that were applied on the first form. And finally, I have created a final form, uh, and I have displayed it at the download bot. So the download bot is like the way I said, RPA can enhance DA way more. The download bot is backed with a few codes which showcases the form, which sends out the email, which also picks up the extracted values. So that's how the final form showcases all the extracted details, and once approved, also sends it further for a mail to be sent and updated. Is the processing speed going to be optimized to be at par with what we had? Uh, yes, the processing speed would be optimized way more actually. It is it is faster at least than IQ
No,
Mudit and Arjun can back me up on
yeah, I
that.
believe you meant document automation is much faster, right?
Yes, DA is way faster,
Okay.
and
Yeah, Mudit,
it's
do you want to add something here?
Yeah, I think, I mean, just to be absolutely clear, right? See, IQbot came with a client server architecture, so the processing
hmm,
was happening, on the server, whereas this is happening on a bottleneck, right? So a bottleneck device, the parallelization that you can do of your workload kind of gives you that, like you can process a lot in parallel. So that gives you the advantage. And one of the things that we're also working on is a capability of doing cloud extraction, which will be super fast. And if you look at on a talking per page basis, we are looking for very some customers have come back and told us that, hey, I have a call center agent waiting for extraction. I don't want them to wait even like whatever they wait today. How can you make it like 10x faster? So we are working on that piece also. But yeah, I mean, the advantage of DA from a processing perspective is really the parallelization that you can do of your workload, and you can really process. And for the most part, if you see DA use cases, the processing happens in batches, right? Like, somebody is not typically not people are not sitting in front of the screen. It's unattended and it's done as a batch. So yeah, that parallelization really helps.
All right, hope that answers your question. If there are any more questions that you have, please feel free to put them in the Q&A tab, and we will be glad to take them up. I think there's already some answered.
I've also shared the link to document automation masterclass in case if anybody wants to learn how to use document automation in detail. This is a must learn skill booster for you. This will help you understand the basics of document automation, and it'll show you all these exciting features which we just discussed.
We have another question. Oh, that's a comment. Thanks, Mudit. That was helpful. Just gonna answer that as live and then done.
I think there was a question on handwritten in the webinar chat as well. So I think handwritten documents, we have multitude of options. I think Inacio showed one option. So Inacio, I believe you would have used Google Vision OCR in that particular.
Yes, yes.
So I mean, look, we do a lot of testing, and one of the things from product side we've realized is that the vision models are not necessarily the reason why you get the handwritten character recognition perfect. Like I know it may have sounded like that, but the Google Vision does, the OCR technology still works. I mean, for handwritten capabilities, it recognizes the characters. But where the vision model shines is to make sense of what is what. Okay, this is the building date, or this is belonging to this particular column. In the document that Inacio had, for example, you had specific characters going over the line, right? Even that detection, that the fact that it have gone over the line, but it will kind of make sense of that and is able to put it in one column. So that's where the vision model shines, and the extraction becomes more accurate. So yeah, I mean, I think handwritten, I do believe we've solved for that use case even before. But what we have now done with vision model, especially, is that it just is much more accurate in terms of the extraction result. It really is able to map what goes where. If I may put it very simply.
We have another question from Harsh. Along with the Gen AI, which technology is used in DA for data extraction? Does it use ML model?
Yeah, we do have our own model. So one of the things which is very understated, and I think we need to do a better job at it, is that our model is actually kind of giving the necessary context. So I think, I'm sure this audience knows about, Gen AI working best if it has given the context, right? I mean, you guys would have heard this like several times in many conversations. So that being the case, what happens really is that we have our own model which kind of it breaks down the document, and it will tell this is a table, this is table one, this is table two, this is a paragraph, this is a bullet. So it kind of almost does a pre-processing and provides the necessary context to the Gen AI for it to really get the most optimal result. And that's one of the foundation why you are getting, if you didn't do that, we will not get the most optimum results actually. And that's something that we've tested and we've seen that. And I also would urge you guys, I know there are times when people come to us and say, oh, I can do this testing in a chatbot, right? A chatbot uploading a document and getting something and getting the same consistency over a batch of document are two different things. So where document automation really excels is because we retain that context, right? We keep providing that similar context with our ML models to the large language models. The accuracy that we get is fairly high. Whereas if you have extraction done on a chatbot, sometimes it may work well in a different context. It may not give you the desired result. So both parts are important, accuracy and the consistency part, which is where RD really.
Insurance. Another question from Harsh. If we deploy the DA in an on-prem environment, can we use our own ML model? We have trained on Azure ML Studio.
The short answer is no. You have to use. So we support two specific models with our relationship with OpenAI and with Anthropic. Anthropic, you do have an option to use Sonnet if you're doing BYOK, but essentially we use GPT, Haiku, and I think, like I said, you can also use Sonnet in a BYOK setup. We may also in future expand to support Gemini. That's on our roadmap. But as of now, it's not yet, in the short term at least, we're not looking to let people just bring in their own model, right, and use it. There is well, like I was explaining, there is a lot of behind the scene tooling that has been done for this entire, you know, pipeline to work and gets orchestrated. So yeah, I mean, we are trying to make it more open architecture in that sense that you can plug and play. But like I said, it's still somewhere further down the line.
Yeah, I think we have another question that's in the chat. Is there any touch with the LLM with extracting the data?
Sorry, I didn't follow that. Is there any touch with?
Could you elaborate more on that? Okay, I think they're probably typing.
There is all the touch of LLM. I mean, we use the LLM. I mean, we definitely have large language models used extensively for getting the right extraction results. So it really depends on the type of learning instance that you configure, right? I mean, I think the point is how the degree of use of large language model depends on which kind of document you're dealing with. So if you're dealing with an unstructured document like a contract or email, we probably depend on it 80%, right? 80 to 90% for extraction. Whereas if you're dealing with an invoice use case, uh, the generative AI large language model dependency could be less. I mean, it ranges. It really depends on the nature of the document. Use our model. We use combination of our model plus Gen AI. We use Gen AI standalone. So that choice is made real time by the engine. But I think one point I would clarify, and I do want to make this point that for unstructured, we've purposefully used large language models because they really outshine any of our own technology. It really works really well. We've tested it and we felt that this is the best technology that can deliver great results for unstructured data. So if you're dealing with contracts, email, we definitely rely more heavily on on large language models. In other situations, we tend to use a mix of both our tech and large language models.
Interesting. No. The next question is on governance. I think, how are we governing the data inflow and outflow if we're sending the data outside to process or for extraction, in case of on-prem deployment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are two aspects to this. I think one question that typically comes up is, oh, my data will the large language models use it for training their models? Will automation anywhere use it for training your models? What's happening to my data in that sense? So first of all, we don't use any customer data for training. At the outside, I want to just clarify that neither us nor any of the partner ecosystem that we've plugged in with, like OpenAI, Anthropic, none of them are set up to use your data. From a governance standpoint, we do have strong encryption of data on our side, both at rest and on the wire, which means that anything that goes out to the large language models is highly, highly secure, right? And we have I think from a compliance perspective, we have very, very strict compliance audits that are done for multiple certifications that are there and you can probably see a list of those certifications on our compliance portal. Now that being said, the other thing also I want to highlight is while it's encrypted and it's both at rest as well as on the wire, we use secure communication. One of the things that we also have is that none of the data is set to stay in the third party. So for example, if you're using GPT model, as soon as the extraction is done, the data gets deleted. It's purged basically. And this depends on the data policy that is set up with different providers. It's not consistent, so I'm not going to give you one particular answer, but it does not stay. Basically, as soon as the extraction is done, in a very short period of time thereafter, it gets deleted. So it's not residing anywhere beyond for the duration for which it's really needed. So yeah, and the other thing for on-prem customers, because you've highlighted on-prem, a lot of customers also sometimes tell us, hey, we have our own subscription. We would want to use it in a particular region, in a particular setup. So again, there are multitude of those options available if customers are more familiar and they want to sort of use a subscription in a particular region. If it's available there, they can, definitely choose to do that. We also support multiple regions as well. Out of the box, whatever regions are available for these providers, we support them. But like I said, many times on-prem customers do prefer to bring their own subscription and plug it in a specific region of their choice. So again, that also gives some confidence to customers in terms of their data handling.
We have another question
Okay.
related to on-prem. So when we use DA on-prem, then those models are also deployed along with CR installation if we plan to use DA or not.
Okay. Okay. So yes and no. So I think I don't know whether you're referring to large language models. Large language models are all cloud hosted, just to be clear. Vision models, large language models, all the GenAI capability is hosted on an endpoint of these providers, right? OpenAI, Anthropic. But our models, which we use, like I was describing, we have our own doc detect specific model that we call document detection model, which we use, and that is part of DA. And yes, it's available in the control room. It's available as part of every release. Basically, we keep improving it. That model is available to any customers that is looking. The other thing also is that inferencing, and you may not realize it, but this model is fairly optimized. So while the models is available, the actual inferencing from that model, when I say the actual extraction from that model, really happens on a bottom on a device. So it's so well optimized that it can actually run on a bottom on device and give you the result. So it's not, when I say it's available for all customers, it does not mean that it's so heavy. It's part of the bot runner setup, and it pretty much works very well. It is very well optimized to give you a response even on a sort of lesser configuration bot runner device. So this we do ship it, like I said, with every release it's shipped and it's available to all our customers. Yeah.
There's another question by Rajneesh. This is a product related question. The values of field value and it lies on multiple pages. Can you tell me how to get all the values if possible by document automation? I think Arjun or Inacio can answer this.
So I think the question is that, if I'm not mistaken, you're saying one field has values across multiple pages, right? And you want to sort of bring it together in one single way. So this was actually, I don't know if Arjun talked about the linked field concept, right? So one of the things you can also do is to treat it as a repeatable kind of a attribute, right? And try to render it as a tabular column, in which case it will come from page 1, page 5, page 7 as rows. There are many other, there are many other ways in which you can have the same problem addressed. So you can also have multiple fields. If you know there's just going to be 3 fields that are always going to be there, and you may as well do that. But yeah, there are many different. So I'll have to see the document to be able to suggest. But yeah, there are many different ways in which this can be addressed.
Yeah, I did showcase that linked field prompt tag option.
Yeah.
How to use that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so that's the one which really targets that use case.
All right, we have another question by Harsh. In case on the BR firewall only control room URL is whitelisted, except it uses proxy for any other internet access, will document automation still be able to connect to resource where LLM is hosted?
So document automation and control room are really one. We are native to control room. So we are not different than control room. It's not like, I mean, this is not IQBot. Like IQBot was different, right? You had to kind of set up some other additional things. DA is native to control room. So anything you do for control room access resolves our problems. So yeah,
Mudit,
the answer is yes.
Yeah, like one more question here is like, if any other internet access is blocked, so in that case, will DAB still be able to connect to LLMs?
So the point I was making is that, let's say a normal bot runner configuration is done for it to access internet via proxy. If you've done the enablement of your bot runner device to be able to access internet, the same applies to DA. You don't have to do anything special. Okay. Yes, a proxy has to be whitelisted. So to that extent, if you've enabled that, your bot runners to run via the proxy for internet access, which I think happens through a control room setting, Arjun, right? There is a specific setup for that, so that if you've done that, it'll basically apply even for document.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
So anything the control room connects to, the document automation can connect to as well. All right, I think with that we have answered all the questions, and yeah, all the questions have been answered. So that does bring us to the end of the Q&A session. Okay, I'm just gonna share my screen for a couple of community announcements. Just let me know when you can see my screen.
You can see now.
All right, we know how much you love these dev meetups, and we know that it can get a little bit sad when there are no dev meetups. Don't worry, we have more dev meetups for you. In fact, our next dev meetup is going to be on July 31st. And if you want to register for that, you can just scan this QR code or click on the events tab in the community, and I'll be sharing the link to that as well in the chat right now. And you can see all the upcoming events that are happening here. Our main upcoming events in June. So first of all, we have our Agentic Quest Global Challenge going on. This will be live till 26th of June. It is a fun, really cool challenge wherein you will be using AI skills to build an automation that can essentially extract unstructured information and build out that whole workflow. So just, go to Agentic Quest Global Challenge and attend now. And it's only available if you have completed the dev track of the APA training camp. So if you've completed that, feel free to sign up for this event as well. And tomorrow, for our India-based audience, we are having a fun Pathfinder hangout hosted by our MVP Vatsal. We are going to be creating a template that will act as like a promo image for our upcoming Imagine event. And this takes place at 12 noon IST. So sign up for that as well. And later in June, we also have two user groups that are both related to finance. There's one on 27th, which is going to be hosted by another one of our community captains, Prashant. And sign up for those as well if finance user group is something that you're interested in. So these are all the events that are happening in June. To sign up for all these events, just go to the link in the chat that I've shared just now. And we hope to see you at these future events. And with that, I think we have come to the end of our dev meetup for this time. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you at future events. See you.
Thank you, everyone. And in case if any of you are joining us at Imagine Bangalore next week, we look forward to see you in person.
Oh, and one more thing just before we leave, so I do not forget. This is our email, and if you want to see any topics at future dev meetups, or if you want to present a use case at a future dev meetup, please feel free to send us an email at this email ID. And we look forward to seeing you virtually or in person. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.